And another thing that what we talked about that thought was kind of helpful for processing is things like this is Jordan Peterson's self-authoring program, and I think there's a lot of things like this where I think this is more mental and like thought oriented, and because it directly involves your personal narrative. But this also seems to be a huge, important component. Because in my own experience, at least, I think that, first I had to be able to accept myself, my situation, and guess how much it all sucked. And then neurofeedback was huge, along with a lot of other things. But neurofeedback really helped that like physiological calming component, where it was able to address my stressed out brain. And so that really helped with that kind of calming. But then after that, I think things like this really help. Say so for his self-authoring, some of his other, I think he has like other programs or things to work through too. They're kind of similar in that they walk you through mapping out your story or your narrative, basically. And so I think, I'm not sure if it's this one or if it's another one he has, but you go over different, like you write out your life story. And I think you separate them into like different time periods with different major events through your life, like emotionally significant events or events that shaped like who you are. And so you just map it all out. And it's a similar thing for like major positive experiences or negative experience. You just write it all out. And I think this is really helpful. And I think he has something else where you, I think you write out like different, like I think you do it based off different areas or different topics. So different areas of your life. So I think they could be like your family or your relationships with friends, like a significant other, your work or school, your health. And you write about these different areas of your life, and you write about where you are right now and where your ideal would be, and then where you would be if, like, I think everything just like spiraled out of control, like the worst you can imagine. Say, like if your unhealthy or your poor practices continued, where would you be in 10 years? Mm-hmm. And so that kind of gives you a clear picture of, where you want to be, and gives you a little bit almost like the carrot and the stick kind of thing, where it's like you have an incentive. You want to go over there for two reasons. You want to pursue something and you want to avoid something else. And I think all of that is really helpful in that, like, it's like journaling is helpful because I think that's a way to very clearly map out where you are, what you're dealing with. Because I guess like I think we talked about this in the last episode about how oftentimes our stress reactions when we're afraid of something, it just keeps coming up or it lingers in the back of our mind, and we're just constantly stressed if we run into a problem or a poor interaction, some situation where things went south and we don't know what to do about it. And so it seems that our brain just holds on to that. It doesn't have so much of a memory or so much of a capacity to tell when something happened way far in the past versus right now. Yeah. It's just a stress that you carry with you, and your brain won't let it go unless you know what to do with it. And if you know what to do about it next time, say that same threat came up. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's why like our brains won't let us let go of something negative that's happened in the past. So I think it helps because, like if you actually get yourself and like almost like force yourself to map this all out, or like say you can journal, it helps you in being able to first establish the awareness of it, to kind of lay out all the cards on the table and see like what are we dealing with? Yeah. And I think in that sense, this is really helpful. I think it's similar to journaling, but I think it's helpful in that it guides you in the like pinpointing specific things that are important And I definitely think that this kind of thing is really underrated. Like, I guess you could say journaling is really underrated.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I think that one thing that I think I see so much of, like, I think it's just a human thing, but it's some level of denial. I think that we're like, I don't, obviously we're not trying to be in denial, but a lot of times it's just when there is a huge problem, sometimes we would just say like, oh, it's just like that, or we don't know what to do about it. So you kind of just try to stay positive. And I think oftentimes when people, just try to stay positive about something, that's a way of, like, it's ignoring it, or the issue is still really not being dealt with. And
Yeah.
and it's tough because sometimes, like, maybe there isn't that much you can do, but I think it really helps to first map out everything that's happening. But yeah.
Yeah, I think even though we talk a lot about this bottom-up process, the integration from top down is still necessary because they need to be aligned, right? So how our body feels and how we perceive the world and how we understand reality, they need to align. They need to be integrated, and then so it's just that a lot of times our bottom functioning, automatic functioning, is overtaken our capacity to think. So we're not able to process rationally. But once that's calmed down, we still need to integrate our self-knowledge or knowledge with reality, right? So I think tools like this self-authoring or use of language, if you can't really describe it, it's sometimes that you don't know how to reformulate it, right? So I find that, I oftentimes like to integrate these two approach. So I will help somebody calm down first, help the brain settle down first, or process some of the old memories so that you don't have that strong emotional or physiological reaction first. Then we can take those memories apart and rewrite the story, reformulate the story, or digest the story so we can take lessons that we can learn from that and start changing our lives, right? So I think these kind of self-authoring or the life book approach, where you look at different aspects of your life, your relationship, your finances, your skills, your goals, your spirituality, I think all those are still important, so we have a clear picture of the world, reality, but also have a clear inner picture of who we are. Or as a Christian, I have a clear picture of the kind of person that God has made me to be uniquely, and the opportunities He's given us, including the experience in the past, so that I know how to move forward. Right, so you can kind of rescript your life in that sense.
Yeah, like I think all of these things really are so underrated, because like being able to set goals or identify a goal and start to shoot for it is so important, because without clearly identifying an ideal, if you don't have a goal, then you're not going to shoot for anything, and then you're not going to get anywhere. And so I think that, like, first and foremost, that's what you got to do. Got to identify, I guess, where you're trying to go. And I think that, like, it is really underrated, because today it really is so easy to almost like self-medicate, like we talked about, like just kind of numbing yourself, or like just filling your head with I don't know, Netflix shows, or like scrolling through social media. Because I think that today's world is a world of a lot of stressors, and so like it's difficult, but I think that this kind of stuff really, really helps, because I think it's a very necessary step to take, like after you deal with like after you're able to have that brain calming and everything, to be able to like start to try to go somewhere.
Yeah. I mean, understand it's understanding that we self-medicate, right? Because if you look at it like how our whole economy is almost run on people spending money on
Yeah.
self-medication. Like I'm not even literally talking about just the medication, but food. People use food to medicate themselves. All the entertainment is basically numbing or taking us away from reality, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that's understandable because our mind is in such an anxious state. We need to kind of escape, get out of our mind. But if we can calm that part, we can re-regulate that part, then we can move forward, right? And then that's when we also need clarity in how to move forward. So that's when these kind of tools can now be integrated into your good or highly functional emotional and mental state.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess like you said, I think it is definitely really important to, like be like go easy on yourself kind of thing, or understand that like with the what is this the attention economy, it's really all of these, there's a lot of things that kind of work against us, and it's just set up
Yeah.
in the world right now, like advertising, marketing, social media. A lot of these things are oriented to, like, I guess pretty much capitalize on like our vulnerabilities, I feel like.
Yeah.
And I think our vulnerabilities are, like our attention is drawn to things that are kind of scary or stressful. And so we pay
Yeah.
attention to a lot of the negative things on social media. That's attention grabbing. And that's I guess it works for the system, but
Yeah.
it's really really harmful for us, because it's just difficult to tell. I think we're living in a really different world now, where we're aware of so many different people and so many different problems. It's like this extended like awareness. But I don't think that our us as humans are like physiologically or evolutionarily prepared for this. And so like I think we do live in a world where we're being constantly stressed and being presented with a lot of different problems that we really can't do much about. And say it's like not even only in social media. Like I would even say, for me, I see a lot of it in school, like in universities. A lot of the coursework in the arts or humanities, like in English class or like history class, all of our assignments and papers are oriented towards like what's a huge problem that you can write about and criticize. Say like like the environment and the huge amount of waste that we have, or pollution, or like politics and corruption, or like capitalism, all these different things. I think it's I think it's just our world or human tendencies. There's a lot of negativity and a lot of problems that we're constantly being confronted with, or constantly just presented to us, things that we can't really do much about. And that's not to say that we should ignore it, but I think that like I think we all need a little bit of grace, because these things we really, I don't think we're equipped to deal with it, like just physiologically.
Yeah. So I think if we can be in a better place with our basic functioning, then in fact we will have greater capacity if we do need to address these things.
Yeah.
And then trauma, I think, is what oftentimes is holding us back from being able to move forward, because that's something that keeps triggering our physiological, emotional responses, overwhelming our system. And so, but we need to deal with that trauma from the bottom-up approach as well as top-down, once our physiology is able to be at a good functioning level.
Yeah. So I definitely think that like this It's really helpful, but for me, like you said, it was the physiological calming that really helped first. But I think that part of this narrative aspect of it. It is so important to like give yourself a little grace, or like go easy on yourself and understand that this, I think, there's a lot of things in this world that are kind of working against, I guess, our like biological nature, or like the pretty much the equipment that we have.
Yeah.
And so like it's really tough, but I think that like acceptance is good first, and then in my experience, like then diving into all of this mapping out of everything was really helpful.
Yeah.